The U.S. government is continuing down the road of anti-Russia hysteria, and now we have our most discriminatory and problematic decision yet. Look at this. Washington orders RT America to register as a foreign agent by Monday. Foreign agent. So here's what they say. Washington will apply its Foreign Agents Registration Act to RT America. The Department of Justice has given the broadcaster until Monday, that's today, to register as a foreign agent. Otherwise, the channel's head faces arrest, and its accounts could be frozen. Whoa. The piece of legislation was adopted in the U.S. in 1938 to counter pro-Nazi agitation on U.S. soil. Washington has made the decision to apply the act towards the company that supplies all services for RT America on its territory, including TV production and operations. Just over 400 entities are currently registered under the legislation, but it does not include a single media outlet. Listen, for those of you who would argue, I think they should do this, RT is just pure propaganda, there's a few responses to that. Probably the most important one is, in the lead up to the Iraq War, every big corporate media outlet in the U.S. sided with the Bush administration. Gleefully repeated the lies, even called torture enhanced interrogation at the behest of the Bush administration. They fired Phil Donahue for being against the war. So when it really matters, when you need dissenting voices in the U.S., the dissenting voices are nowhere to be found in corporate media. And in fact, one could argue successfully that really what you get in corporate media is the furthest left they allow you to go is mainstream Democratic Party bullshit. The furthest right they allow you to go is mainstream Republican Party bullshit. So that's an establishment system. Some of them do the talking points of both parties, and then MSNBC does the Democrats, Fox does the Republicans. So yes, that's propaganda. Without a doubt, that's propaganda. Just the function of it is different. You have to read Noam Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent, and he makes a very convincing case that through our corporate media structure, we effectively have the same thing, if not worse, than actual state-run media in a dictatorship. So that's the first point. The second point is, on RT, they have Tom Hartman, Ed Schultz, Abby Martin was on RT. And by the way, Abby herself will tell you, I criticized Putin on air over Crimea, and I wasn't let go after that. So, and I'm not saying, by the way, that no, there's no bias at all at RT, and there's nothing but bias in U.S. corporate media. What I'm saying is, it's about the same in both. I'm sure that the overwhelming majority of the hosts on RT are not going to criticize the Russian government perhaps as strongly as they should be criticized. But also in corporate media in the U.S., you're not going to get them criticizing the government as strongly as we should be criticizing the government. Certainly not in meaningful ways. So what you're doing here is you're targeting one media outlet. By the way, have they done this with Al Jazeera? No. Have they done this with the BBC? No. So other, even foreign government-funded entities, nope. We're not going to arrest you or freeze your accounts. They're singling out RT to do it. And again, Tom Hartman is the older version of me. That's who Tom Hartman is. Tom Hartman's one of the reasons I do what I do. Because I listened to Tom Hartman back in the Air America days, and I went, this is awesome. I love this show. He's very similar opinions to my opinions. And he has an outlet on RT where they let him talk about this stuff. Ed Schultz, fired from MSNBC because he was against the TPP, by the way. You know, in other ways, he carried the water of the administration. He was in favor of the Libya intervention, and I totally disagree with Ed Schultz on that. But the idea that this guy is just solely Putin's puppet, nonsense! Nonsense! He's an independent thinker. But no, the outlet that has Tom Hartman and Ed Schultz, sorry, you know, we're going to have to, you have to register as foreign agents. Tom Hartman and Ed Schultz are going to have to register as foreign agents. Don't tell me there's no hysteria going on. You know there's hysteria going on. This is McCarthyism recycled. And by the way, I think they're going to sue over this, and if they don't, they should, because this is almost certainly a violation of the First Amendment. We have freedom of speech, free expression, free press. And look, if you were going to say, hey, every foreign media outlet needs to register in this draconian law, I disagree with you, but maybe there's a legal leg to stand on in that situation, because at least you're being objective about how it applies to all foreign media. But you can't just single out one foreign media entity. You just can't do that. That's not the way the law works. And I don't think any of them should be registered as it, because I think there's a case that it's unconstitutional if you tell any of these outlets to register for it, because we're supposed to be the free country. Not the country where we freeze your accounts if you don't register as a foreign agent, even though you're not a fucking foreign agent. That's the thing, is now, because of the anti-Russia hysteria in the U.S., mainstream Democrats, establishment Democrats, they appear totally incapable of spotting the flaws with our own media and with our own government, but all they do is want to criticize Russia's. Well, you know, it's the Noam Chomsky rule. As a citizen who's born in the U.S., raised in the U.S., this is your country. You are responsible for the evils of your own government because you can actually affect it. You pay taxes to your government. In theory, they're supposed to listen to you. Now, they don't. They listen to big money donors, but we need to force them to try to listen to us. So criticizing your own country should be rule number one when they do fucked up shit. You know, if your kid is failing school, are you going to talk to your kid and try to fix that situation? Or are you first going to go 6 doors down, knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, little Billy's doing drugs and I'm here to help with that? They'd be like, what? Go take care of your own shit. Noam Chomsky says criticizing other stuff going on in other countries is about as useful as criticizing something that happened in the year 1600. Because what happens inevitably is people in the U.S. are overlooking what our government is doing to tell somebody else to clean up their house. And he brings up a Bible verse in the context of this conversation and says, you know, don't look at your neighbor with the speck in his eye when you have a log in your eye or a branch in your eye, something to that effect. And yes, that's true. And by the way, I'm not saying you can't criticize other governments. Of course you can. Absolutely you can. You can criticize other governments. You can criticize other groups and all that stuff. But you have to show that you're serious first and you're not a hypocrite by saying, hey, here's exactly where we're wrong. And this isn't a false equivalence. It's saying you're responsible for the actions of your government first. And yes, then you can get to other governments as well. But what happens is nobody who's calling for this draconian crackdown on RT is also saying, oh, and hey, by the way, our government's corporate media and they massively do the bidding of the establishment and they need to stop doing the bidding of the establishment. And we need to stop with our propaganda. And oh yeah, RT's bad too. It's almost all, we're great, they're evil. But that's not true. We know that's not true. And I don't think this is legal or constitutional because you can't crack down only on one outlet and then pretend like you believe in freedom of the press when you most clearly do not.